Alrighty then. What is going on? Friends, what's up? Give me 1 second. I'm going to go to this view because I just want to open up this thing. You guys can't see this, but I'm going to go here. I can see it. This is for me, just so I can see everybody. How's everyone doing tonight? What's going on? I am having a fantastic evening, and just kind of wanted to go live a little bit, hang out, see how you guys are doing, go do a little late night live. Just like I said, let's just chill, let's just chat. Did I spill water all over myself? Do I not know how to drink? Jesus, man. But how's everybody doing tonight? How's everybody doing? Just spilling stuff all over myself. I can't look like this. I can't look like this in public. 1 second. I gotta at least look presentable. I don't want to put that on. This'll do. 2 seconds. And we've changed. Now I look like an adult. I don't look like a toddler who's spilling stuff all over myself. Friends! It's been a while. I have been very busy. Was doing a bunch of homework all night long. And now I'm done and sick and tired of doing homework. So I want to talk some Jets, especially because if you guys weren't hanging out, today is a great day for Jets content. We have the Talking Jets panel, which is awesome. And then right after the Talking Jets panel is over, I hopped on and hung out with Gunny in Hanging Out in the Hangar, which is just a great show. And he had DKB on today. I love DKB. I love Gunny. But man, they were saying some absolute bullcrap. Some of the things that were coming out of their mouth got my blood boiling. So I had to come out and I had to say something. I had to go live and just, man. Like I said, dude, they got my blood boiling. But let's say hi to some people in the chat. Wild Wave, what's going on? New York Jets superfan, hello. Harlan in the house. Daniel C. Jetpack 615. How is everybody doing? Harlan doing great things. Reminding everybody, let's hit that like button. Really helps the New York Jets get better. For every like on a Talking Jets with Tigo video, the New York Jets get 0.001% better. So the more you smash the like button, the better chances of the New York Jets doing better. So hit that like button. We all know how that works. That's science, guys. That's science. That's absolutely can't be stuff that I made up, because I would never lie to you guys ever. Boom. Lynn Bethia, South Carolina Jets faithful here. What's up, my guy? What's up to you, Lynn? How are you, man? I'm in Florida. Southern states got to stay representing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Got to stay representing the New York Jets and everything that they do and everything that we do. We might do some call-ins a little bit later. We'll see how I'm feeling about it. I'm scared that someone might whip out a dick, but who knows? We'll see. I've got it set up, and hopefully it'll work. Jetpack representing in Nashville since '98. I love it. But I've been thinking about this Hassan Reddick trade. I've been thinking about what it means for the New York Jets. I've been meaning about a bunch of things about what's happening now. And you know what? I'm going to talk about it in a live format because you guys can get in on the chat, and I love the back and forth. I love the conversation, and we'll see if someone wants to hop in and chat. They can. The link is out there to a couple of different people, so we'll see what happens. We'll see if anybody wants to hang out. Who knows? You know what, though? Well, I'm going to send it to one more place. Boom. There we go. There we go. Now, let's talk about it. So we've traded for Hassan Reddick and his contract and everything like that, and I have some thoughts. So I want to talk about these thoughts because I want to have some conversations about the thoughts in the thoughts. Number one, let's talk about this. Is the Hassan Reddick trade, to me, the biggest message that this screamed is that the New York Jets are truly, truly, truly going all in. I don't think you can take the Hassan Reddick trade for anything other than that, because the New York Jets needed a fourth edge rusher, but they didn't need an elite fourth edge rusher. We didn't need someone to be as good as Jadeveon Clowney or as good as Hassan Reddick. We could have very, very easily gone and gotten like a guy like Bud Dupree, a role player, and those kinds of things, and banked on the talent that is Will McDonald and the explosion that we're all expecting to see him in year two, the talent that is Jermaine Johnson and John Franklin Myers. But going out and getting Hassan Reddick screams to me a couple of things. One, the New York Jets fully expect to play with a lead. That's what they want to do. They want to operate in the NASCAR package as much as possible, and the best way to take advantage of these types of players is to play with a lead, and the New York Jets are going to play with the lead. Boom. That's the first thing. But the second thing is, like I said, it really, really screams that the New York Jets are all in the next 2 years to go and win a ring. Now, you can have a conversation about extending him and doing like whatever it is that you want in terms of like giving him the contract that he wants, which is $25 million plus. But the problem with that is that if you give him $25 million plus, you cannot have that much money tied up on your defensive line. If you sign Hassan Reddick, it is more than likely the end of Jonathan Franklin Myers. And I don't know how much I like that. I would kind of prefer JFM because of the ability to play on first and second downs and the ability to bump inside. And when we look at Will McDonald is kind of a really good player. He can play the run. He's a pass rushing specialist. And so if he can take the next step, if he can jump in production like we saw from JJ from years 1 to year 2, there's a good possibility that we don't necessarily need Hassan Reddick for year 2. And that's a big deal. So, we'll see what happens there. Now, one of the other things that I did want to bring up is that, like, if we don't extend Hassan Reddick, a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people haven't been told this. But if you don't extend Hassan Reddick and you rent him for 1 year, let him go, and then just let him go sign somewhere else, boom. The reality is that the New York Jets would get a third-round compensatory pick in return in 2026. So we would have gotten Hassan Reddick for free, used him for 1 year, and then got essentially the pick that we traded for him back, which is great. And so, yeah. But I think the biggest thing is that this has really shown to me that the New York Jets are all in. Hands down, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're going full-blown, full steam ahead. They want to do everything in their power to win. And while a lot of reports have come out recent about the New York Jets possibly trading back, I think that's a lot of smoke. This is what's the word? This is lie to everybody season. The draft is 1 month away. Yeah. No. Draft is this month. We're in April. Yeah. The draft is this month. So that means it is all lying season. It is deception season. It is let everybody think they know what you're going to do and pivot at the last moment. And there is a lot of conversation about the number 10 pick being for sale. There is a lot of conversation about the New York Jets possibly wanting to trade back. I think a trade up is more likely, because if you're going all in, if you're trying to maximize the Aaron Rodgers window, is trading back to get more assets really the thing that you're going to do? Or is moving up and guaranteeing that you get a playmaker, a guy that's going to week 1 impact this game and help you win games immediately, is that the all-in move? That's all I'm saying. Now, if you're asking me to bet what's going to happen, I think at the end of the day, the New York Jets are probably going to stick and pick at 10. That would be my bet. If I had to be a betting man, and I'm not, and I had to place a bet, I would bet the New York Jets stick and pick at 10, and that's it. But we know that JD isn't scared to move up. We know that JD isn't scared to move back. All I'm saying. A lot of interesting things that are going to happen. Now, I'm interested in the chat. We got a couple of things here. Daniel C. talking about the nexus to trade for Sutton. I don't think you can trade for Sutton at this point in time, if I'm being honest. But, and that's just because of money-wise. That's really it. It's just a money thing. I don't know if you can pay Hassan Reddick the $15 million that he's going to make this year and all of these other guys and get Sutton, because you're going to have to, again, you could trade for Sutton and then extend Sutton, but I just don't know if the Broncos think that they're competitive, so I don't see them also trading Sutton after trading Jerry Jeudy. I think they've made their decision that Sutton is the guy over Jeudy, which is the right decision, and they traded Jeudy for an asset. The Broncos still think that they're competitive post Russell Wilson, and they're going to try to make a move to go get a quarterback. I don't think they're going to really walk away with one, but they're going to try to do something. So you have to remember that does the team that has the player, do they think they're competitive? The Broncos do. They think they're competitive, and I get why, but they don't have a quarterback, so they're not going to win very many games, and so they're in that thing. Jet it out, what's going on? I'm assuming it was over for JFM when they signed Kinlaw. I don't necessarily tend to agree. They don't play the same position. JFM is an edge. Kinlaw is an interior defensive lineman. And if you're looking for a guy who's going to play on your third downs on the interior of the defensive line, JFM is going to get the nod every single time over Kinlaw. Kinlaw is great, and he's a Robert Saleh guy, and he's not great. Kinlaw is, I don't like the Kinlaw signing, especially because we paid him interior defensive lineman 2 money, and I'm not a fan of that. And so, yeah, I don't, again, if I had to make, what's the worst signing that the New York Jets have done this offseason? It's the Kinlaw signing, period. And it's not just because of the contract. I just don't like the player, if I'm being honest. I don't think that he's all that good. Now, I'm going to trust Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I'm just kind of going to default to what they have said, but that's the worst one for me. So I don't necessarily agree with this. Lynn, I know we love the NASCAR package, but I hope we actually trade back, though, and after we get a second rounder, then trade picks back up for quality. But who am I? I'm all in on the trade back, Lynn. I just don't know if that's the move. I'm all in on you trade back, you take Brian Thomas Jr. in the first round, you get a guy like Patrick Paul or Cooper Beebe or one of these interior offensive linemen. That's who I'm targeting now, is interior offensive linemen in the second round. And then maybe you can package one of your third, a combination of your third, because we have 2/3 and 2/4, package a combination of those picks to get back into the second round and maybe walk away with, an offensive tackle of the future, or we need to start thinking beyond the Michael Carter and or DJ Reed years, because you're not going to be able to keep both. So maybe you take a high upside corner, or you can take another wide receiver, or if there's a running back that you really like, and there isn't one for me personally, you can look that way. There are a couple of ways that you can move the needle. Hell, even if it meant Hassan Reddick is technically only on a 1-year deal, Tyron Smith, and you can come back up and get another tackle so that you can get those developmental guys, get a guard in case of the AVT injury, get a tackle in case of the Morgan Moses situation. You can refill the cupboards. I love a trade back. Just how realistic is that? So who knows? All in move. You move up. Mortgage your future for your present. I agree. You have a Hall of Fame quarterback in a short window. And you have to maximize that. You really, really do. You have to maximize the opportunity that you have right now in your window right now. Now, if you ask Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans who are clearly going through a rebuild right now, do you think that they're mad that they won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady and they went after Tom Brady? If you ask Rams fans, and good luck finding them because they don't really have a fan base. Do you think they're mad that they mortgaged the future and they went all in on, again, you have these conversations and you're just like, are they really all that upset with the fact that they went in and they got a Super Bowl? I wouldn't be. I know I'd be all in on that. So, yeah. And now I know that. Boom. Oh, Jesus, the chat is flying. Let's see if we can go. Do we have any cap space? So as of right now, we have $2 million in cap space, but we still have 4 to 5 moves that the New York Jets can do to create cap space, from extending guys to restructuring guys to doing a bunch of things like that. So technically, no, but we have things and moves that we can make to create cap space. Wild Wave, it's no coincidence that JD's first meeting was with Malik Neighbors, scouted Troy Franklin, and having a meeting with Odunze tomorrow. They definitely want a playmaker. I'm all in on a playmaker in round 1. Jetpack, thank you so much. We're going to get to your chat next. I just saw that. Wow. I'm all in on a playmaker, if we're being honest. I want a playmaker. I want a week 1 starter. I don't want someone who's going to sit on the bench. That's period. I don't care what position we go with. I don't care what happens. I want someone who's week 1 on the first play of the year is going to be on the field. Period. If you're going to tell me, okay, we're going to take a tackle, that tackle needs to start over Tyron Smith or Morgan Moses. Week 1. Period. I don't want a backup. I don't want insurance in round 1. That's what rounds 2 through 7 are for. Round 1 is day 1 starters. That's what we need, and that's what I want in round 1. The easiest way to get that done is with a wide receiver, but I'm open to other positions, whether that's Brock Bowers as the tight end, whether that's... I don't care. I want a week 1 starter. Don't draft a defensive player. Please, God, no. But... you need to score points to win games, and this defense will stop other teams from scoring points. And the best way to help an offensive line is to have an effective run game, and you can have an effective run game when you score a ton of points. That's the whole thing. So go score a bunch of points early with your elite wide receiver core, and then take advantage of your elite running back to keep the lead that your defense is holding for you by running, and especially now that our offensive line has 5 road graders. We have 5 elite run blocking guys. All 5 of them are excellent in the run game. The best way to maximize your run game is to play with a lead so that you can kill the clock. Boom. Let's go to the super chat. Jetpack, happy to catch you live, Tigo. How's the family? They're doing great. We actually went, we have a close family friend. It's actually my wife's cousin. She lives about an hour away from us, and he lives on a ranch. They have like 330,000 acres in Florida. They're a massive cattle rancher. He does wildlife management for them, which is awesome. And we were able to go out on the ranch and play with some horses and some cows and run around in the dirt and talk about hunting. We're going to go hunting a little bit later in the year. It was awesome. We had a ton of time, so the family's doing good. Will you be getting one of the new legacy jerseys? If so, color and player. It's so tough to choose one. Jetpack, I want to get 3. So my assumption is that of course we're going to get a green and a white, but I am also going to get a black because I'm assuming we're going to have a black. So in green, I definitely want to get an Aaron Rodgers jersey in the new green. I have the OG Aaron Rodgers jersey, and I might retire that one as the last jersey of that because I don't really like the current jerseys. I don't hate them, but I don't like them either. But I'm definitely going to get an Aaron Rodgers jersey. Now, the one question is I want to get a white and a black because I want to get all 3. And I can. Thankfully, this YouTube channel brings in some kind of funds, and so I want to do that. It's crazy and all that stuff. That being said, one of the things that I wanted, I am having a hard time deciding between, I have a white sauce. Do I get another sauce? And I love JJ, and he's from FSU and from Florida and all of those things. And so it's one of those things where it's just like, How much do which one do I do? I want a Sauce, I want a Garrett, I want a JJ. I might go Sauce and JJ because I love defense. That's probably what I end up doing, but yeah. Thank you for the super chat, man. I really appreciate it. Let's go back up here. The Broncos think they're competitive. I think I'm handsome. We can all lie to ourselves. Love that. Just draft Neighbors or Brian Thomas Jr., LSU ballers, or trade up for Harrison Jr. That's the dream, is to trade up for Harrison Jr. Grab a top 8 rookie prospect to become an instant contributor. We need plug-and-play players, not 3-year future projects. Totally agree. JD doesn't get to the playoffs this year. He's out, so those future picks won't help. I won't agree on that last bit, Sean, because I do think that give me a sec. I do think that they JD and Robert Saleh have a job as long as long as Aaron Rodgers is around. If we're being honest. Yeah. Odunze is more of a possession receiver, no rack ability, in my opinion. Well, that's not all that true. And it's yak ability. I think you corrected that. I don't think Odunze is slow. And when we look at like just playing ability, when we look at all of the NCAA of wide receivers who played at least 20% of the snaps in the NCAA, the elite guys were getting 10 yards after the catch, right? And that was really, really high. But he was averaging, at least this past year, he averaged 5.6 yards after the catch. And no, he's not a home run yak, gonna take it to the house guy. But to say that he's not a yak guy, you have to be schemed as a yak guy, and he wasn't, right? So I think there's a little bit of a question there where it's just like you have to be schemed for yak, and a lot of colleges don't, because they just don't know how to, because they're just not good at their jobs. And so yeah. Very, very few guys are like elite yak guys. Like Malachi Corley is an elite yak guy. Obviously at 8.6 yards after reception averaged this year. But when we look at some of the other guys in this class, like Malik Neighbors was only averaging 6.6 yards after the catch on average this year. It's not all that much. Marvin Harrison Jr. 6.4. Malik Washington is at 6.4. Brian Thomas Jr., and I love him, 5.7. And so Odunze is not that far off from those guys in terms of yards after the catch ability. So Odunze is sitting right at, 5.6. So I don't necessarily agree with that. Hassan Reddick is only a 1 year. Yes, he is technically only on a 1 year deal if we do not extend him. 4.45 is not slow. Totally agree. Brian Thomas Jr., LSU ballers, fast and big. Absolutely. But the problem is that he's not strong. He needs to get into an NFL weight room and really bulk up. So there. I love Allen, the running back. He would be nasty next to Hall. Yeah, again, I feel like there's more value at that pick if you go elsewhere. I'm not anti-Braylon Allen. I just think that there's more value with other positions than running back in this class, because I don't think the gap from a guy like a Braylon Allen is all that far from the undrafted free agent that you might get at the end of the draft. So, yeah. So JD gives up a potential second rounder in 2025 for a 1 year player. I would have signed Hassan for at least 2 years. Again, it's a third round pick, and it's in 2026, not 2025. It's a third round pick that can become a second round pick, and both of those picks are in 2026. That is absolute great value, in my opinion. So, yeah. Harlan reminding everybody, subscribe. Do that. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. We mentioned it earlier in the stream. For those of you who don't know, for every like on a Talkin' Jets with Tigo video, the New York Jets get better by 0.01%. So you got to smash the like button. You got to hit the like button on every comment also makes the New York Jets better by 0.01%. So help me beat the YouTube algorithm. Let's make the New York Jets better together. Let's like and comment every video that Talking Jets with Tigo makes. And that's that. We can easily find a wide receiver. This draft is very deep at wide receiver. We need a quality lineman just in case one of our offensive tackles go down. Lynn, I can turn that same thing on its head right back at you. On the roster, we have two guys that Joe Douglas drafted to be quality backups on the offensive line in Carter Warren and Max Mitchell. And this class is also very deep at offensive tackle and interior offensive line. What do we need more, a wide receiver 2 or an offensive tackle 3? And I'll pose that question to you, because if you ask me, Mike Williams is not going to be ready for week 1. We know that. There's a lot of talk and they're going to put a bunch of smoke out there, but I do not think that Mike Williams is going to be ready for week 1. So you got to ask yourself, is offensive tackle 3 going to be more important for a guy who might not see the field all year, or wide receiver 2 who is definitely going to impact the field? I think it's wide receiver 2. I believe in Carter Warren. I think he is going to be one of our starters next year, whether we like it or not. And people are forgetting that Carter Warren was a round 2 player before his injury. He was going to go in the second round, and then he got hurt and he fell down boards. It is the same situation that happened with Puka Nacua, because a lot of people like to use, oh, you can find wide receivers late. Look at how the Rams found Puka. Puka was supposed to go in the second round, not the 5th or the 6th. He had an injury history, and it pushed him down boards. The same thing happened to Carter Warren. Carter Warren did not get an offseason, was injured during training camp, and the moment he became healthy was thrown into a situation with a horrible, horrible quarterback that was holding onto the ball too long and couldn't find open receivers. People tend to forget that the quarterback helps the offensive line just as much as the offensive line protects for the quarterback. Weapon, if no one can catch balls, it doesn't matter how good your quarterback or your offensive line is. And right now, we have one guy who can catch balls and one guy who's not going to be ready to catch balls early, and that's it. Get me a wide receiver. Boom. Let me keep going. Thomas Jr. did nothing for 2 years. I don't like that. Neighbors is way better. I'd rather wait till round 3 and grab Wilson or Leggett. Wilson and Leggett aren't making it to round 3, in my opinion. They're going to go in round 2. I never thought that Neighbors is better than Brian Thomas. We're not going to get an opportunity to take Neighbors. Neighbors doesn't make it past the Giants. If the Giants don't take Neighbors, sell the team, move it out of New York. They should go to the CFL. That's a mismanagement of assets. The only pick that should be made in New York for the Giants is wide receiver or quarterback, period. But I don't think they're going to go quarterback. If they don't take a wide receiver, especially if they have an opportunity to take Malik Neighbors, sell the franchise. Just dissolve it. Don't even sell it. Mara doesn't deserve to get any money. Just dissolve it. The NFL is 31 teams now. 520 square miles in Florida. It's actually 450. It's 295,000 acres. It's 450 square miles. They operate in 3 or 4 different counties. They're huge, man. They're massive. Get a JJ jersey. Yeah, JJ jersey would be tough and black. That's what I'm saying, Jetpack. Imagine a black 11 Johnson. Oh, I might do it. I'm talking about it. I also want a 5 Wilson and a Sauce jersey. I'm a quarterback guy. I'm going to get a quarterback jersey. I can't help myself. I do it every year. I used to play quarterback. I love quarterback jerseys. So, I'm probably going to get me a quarterback jersey. I'm going to get me a Rodgers jersey. He's a Hall of Famer that I get to watch with my own eyes. And even if it doesn't really... I'm not even going to put that into the world. When he wins us multiple Super Bowls, it's a jersey that I'm going to be able to wear for a long time. And so is Sauce. And so I'm cool with throwing away a jersey for a player that might get re-signed, might not get re-signed. We have no idea. And that's where I would like to... I love Jermaine Johnson's story. So does my wife. So the JJ jersey is that's for me. I love JJ. I love his story. He went to Florida State. I grew up hating the Gators. And so, yeah. I'm not a Florida State fan. I'm a UCF fan because I go to UCF, but that's a different story. Florida State all the Florida schools have a special place in my heart. I love kids that come out of Florida, except for the Miami Hurricanes, because screw everything that comes out of Miami. I think it's a little higher than 5% DFF. They're not going to cut him if it means losing him for nothing. So they're going to try to make a trade. They're going to try to throw him in a trade, try to get somebody to eat that salary. But, yeah. Neighbors is 6 foot. Ain't that big? Isn't Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson is sub 6 foot. Isn't Garrett Wilson 6 foot? Pretty sure Wilson is 6 foot. Wilson is 6 foot. He plays fine. What about Coleman? He's a freak athlete. The problem is Keon Coleman's going to go in the second. We're not going to have a second-round pick. Now, if you can get a second-round pick and then you do take an offensive tackle in the first round, which, again, I think is a kind of a mismanagement of assets, I'm totally cool with Keon Coleman. I think he has a lot of ability to go out there. Totally agree with you, Harlan. Bakhtiari is still out there. Dude, dead ass, that's the move I would make. I would have already called Bakhtiari's agent, and I've said, look, rehab, keep yourself healthy, don't worry about it. Post-draft, you're coming to the New York Jets, you're going to back up Tyron Smith. Don't worry about it. The contract's done. Do it. Because Bakhtiari might be waiting to see if a team gives him a starting job or if someone gets hurt and they're willing to bank on it. But Bakhtiari is an interesting name because Bakhtiari is still young enough that if he can show 1 year of fully being healthy as a backup, teams would bet on him for a full year of game tape. And I would be willing to make that bet. Hey, Bakhtiari, come here on a 1 year deal as a backup. You're going to probably play. Maybe you don't. But if you can stay healthy the entire year, in year 2, we'll give you the contract as a starting offensive tackle. And that's that. I would do that. I think that would be a really, really good, valuable way to manage your assets. But yeah. Malik Washington. I know a lot of people like Malik Washington, and I get it. I have a lot of concerns about Malik Washington at the next level. Dude can run routes, but the problem with Malik Washington is not his size. People are going to dog him on his size because he's like 5'8". I don't care about that. It's his arm length. And his arm length is totally attributed to the fact that he is 5'8". But the problem is that if he can't create separation in a route, like if he can't stutter step and create separation that way, he's not open, because a lot of DBs have really long arms and he doesn't. So he doesn't have this ability to reach out and grab balls. You know what I mean? It's if he's one-on-one with a DB, he's a great mismatch with like shorter, smaller guys, and he's quick and he's gadgety, but that is a problem. Malik Washington is not, in my opinion, a guy that comes in and immediately starts in the slot. I don't know if he takes Alan Lazard's job in the slot, which is where he should probably play. So again, who knows? We'll see what happens. I love me some Malik Washington, but I am worried about his arm length. That's something that a lot of people aren't talking about. And I think it's one of those things where people like really fall in love with a player and then don't look at that player's flaws. You're looking at all the positive things, but you're not looking at the negative things and weighing them accurately. So again, I'm not anti-Malik Neighbors. I'm not anti-Malik Washington, like, at all. He would be a great pickup, but I think people are overhyping Malik Washington just a little bit. 10th overall plus 2025 first equals 2,050 points. So if we trade with the Chargers, they're going to have to throw in something. Knowing our connections with LA, it might not be a 2025 first to move up. No, again, here's the thing. If you want to come up, you would have to overpay. Remember that it is a trade, especially in a trade up, is not an equal exchange of points. You have to convince the team to move off of the player. So the 10th to go from 10 to 5 would probably cost the 2025 first. If that's something that you're comfortable doing, cool. But that is something that you do need to take into consideration, Wild Wave, is that it is not an even exchange of points most of the time. You can overwhelm them with a ton of assets, and then it'll be an equal amount of points, but most of the time, you overpay to come up because you're convincing a team to take a lesser quality talent in the trade back, theoretically. Now, that doesn't always happen that way, right? Like, people trade back and then get the better player. It happens all the time. The Baltimore Ravens are a great example of that in the Garrett Wilson trade. They traded out of their position and still got Kyle Hamilton. They traded back and still got the player that they probably were going to take with their pick. So there you go. Truth be told, Odunze fits the Giants way more. Plus, they love high character guys like Odunze. Yeah, but Malik Neighbors is so freaking good. So freaking good. Does anyone think that Brendan Rice is gonna be there in the third round? He is the son of arguably the greatest wide receiver in NFL history. Lynn, yeah, he could get there to the third round, but I feel like there's gonna be a run on wide receivers in the second. And I think we're gonna see like 10 wide receivers go in the second because people are gonna get scared. Question, Tigo, the top 3 receivers, did you see any motor or motivational problems playing the game? Like, did you see them give up on a route or a play when watching the tape? Not really. Not with the top 3 guys. To be fair, I wasn't really looking at, like, motor or motivational, like, things when I was looking at those guys. I look at they're such high character guys in that aspect. I saw frustration with some of these guys. Like, Marvin Harrison got frustrated in a lot of the games because of how bad the quarterback play was. Same thing could be said about Malik Neighbors. He got frustrated in situations where he wasn't targeted because, like, Brian Thomas was chosen over him as the target, and, like, he was running wide open and, like, those kinds of things. But I didn't really see any motivational or motor issues. They were pretty 100% every single rep, consistently, it was just frustration in play calling and quarterback level of play with all of these guys. Not Odunze, because Michael Penix was a stud, but the other 2 guys, you definitely saw frustrations in their game due to quarterback play. What round do you think Cooper Beebe, Jermaine Burton, and Travis Rattler go? Cooper Beebe can go anywhere from the 2nd or the 3rd round, depending on what happens with the offensive line. Jermaine Burton is look, he should be a 2nd-round receiver. And Travis and Rattler probably go in the 4th round. And to be very clear, I don't want either one of those guys. Wayne Corbett had short arms. Yes, there is the exceptions to the rule, right? Below 6'2" quarterbacks don't tend to work. Drew Brees is going to go into the Hall of Fame, right? Like, you get exceptions to the rule, but the rules are still the rules for a reason, right? Tall, athletic quarterbacks tend to be really good, and you have great examples of tall, athletic quarterbacks not working, right? Truth is, we have no idea as fans who's on JD's big board. We can only guess. Of course, but that's the whole fun of it, Sean. The whole fun of it is guessing. The whole fun is saying, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. Damn, maybe we shouldn't get Neighbors then. I figured. That's funny. Yeah, again, there's a lot of different ways that you can look at it, but in this day and age, you got to score points to win football games, and the best way to win points is with wide receivers. Period. I have a question for the chat. I keep seeing this a lot out there, right? And I don't know if I agree with this take, but a lot of people say that safety is the biggest need for the New York Jets right now. And let me see if I can make a poll. I've never done this. No. How do I make a poll? I don't know how to make a poll. Ha ha. Safety. What should I put in this poll? Safety, wide receiver, offensive tackle, other. All right. I put a poll in the chat. I'm actually really curious to see what you guys think, like, just because I am curious. Um, so let's see what you guys have to say. So there's the poll. Hit the poll. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, the league was historically ground and pound. Harlan, that was a thing that the Jets weren't special in the fact that they were ground and pound. The NFL was ground and pound. The NFL has changed. You got to adapt with the change. Now, this is not me saying go out and throw the ball 50 times. No. But in today's day and age, if you want to operate at an NFL offense in today's day and age, and you want to ground and pound, the only way to do that is with is by scoring points and scoring points early. That's it. And so the best way to score points early is to have a really, really good wide receiver room and running back room. The New York Jets have an opportunity to have one of the best in both, because we have road graders on the offensive line, and if you have elite pass catchers that help your offensive line by getting open quickly, and a Hall of Fame quarterback who can find the open guy quickly, you can score points quickly. And then you need to have a defense that can stop teams from scoring and get the ball back into your offensive hands so that your road grading offensive line can push forward and operate in the run game. But the only way you can run the ball effectively is if you are playing with a lead. You can't run the ball if you are behind. That's it. Got to play with a lead. Boom. We still have Ashton Davis, right? He should be ready to contribute. We do not. He is a free agent, and he is technically trying to find a starting job somewhere. He has not come to the New York Jets, and that's that. Injury-prone left tackle and somehow wide receiver is a higher need? No. Yeah, because we have a backup offensive tackle. We don't have a backup wide receiver. So it's very easily wide receiver, in my opinion. What's your best scenario to move back? Pick up a second and get wide receiver in round 1 and an offensive lineman in round 2 and vice versa. So in my opinion, the best case scenario, Red John, is you can trade back from 10, and the farthest I really want to go is like pick 18. That's realistically the farthest I'm going to go, honestly. Which is, if you're curious, that's the Bengals. They're pick 18. Now, that being said, I would get a wide receiver in the first. I would be totally cool with you trade back, let's say to 14. Let's say you pick up a second-round pick. That's a little bit rich. 14 to give up a second, that's an overpay. And then you would get the best available interior offensive lineman in the second. Whoever the best guard/center is in the second round, that's who I would take. So I would go wide receiver round 1, Brian Thomas, Rome Odunze, whoever the next best guy is in round 1. And then with that second round pick that you've got, get the best available interior offensive lineman. And that would be my plan in the draft. So I'm going to end the poll. Let's see what's happening here. Wow. Safety 5%, wide receiver with a whopping victory. 47% of you thought that wide receiver was the biggest need for the New York Jets. 36% said offensive tackle. 10% said other. Yeah, I agree. I think wide receiver is your biggest need. But yeah, that would be my number one thing. A wide receiver isn't going to get Aaron Rodgers put in the hospital. Yes, exactly. A wide receiver is going to keep Aaron Rodgers out of a hospital. Billy, you're absolutely correct. Because wide receivers can get open quickly. Well said. The Bengals would be trading up for Bowers or the best edge. Yeah. I don't see the Bungles coming up. Is the interesting thing. That's the reality of it. I just, in my mind, the number I have is 18. And so that is the Bungles, but I don't see the Bungles coming up. Now, maybe they do. Maybe they come up for a tackle. Maybe they come up. But again, they just signed, what's his name, And I don't see them trading then a bunch of assets to come up. Maybe they love Brock Bowers, but if you're them, maybe you come up for Brock Bowers, but that seems a little bit rich. I don't know. I'm starting to find a hard time seeing a team wanting to come up to 10. It would have to be a team that desperately needs an edge, and like that's the last piece. Like they need a pass rush. I don't know what team that is that like desperately needs an edge, but yeah. Our wide receivers are Garrett and Williams. I don't trust Lazard being wide receiver 3. I agree with you. And Williams won't be ready week 1 probably because of the surgery. So your wide receivers are Garrett. Done. That's Garrett. Until Williams is fully healthy and up to speed. You're done. It's Garrett Wilson. Now, you've got pass catchers, right? You can get Tyler Conklin open, Jeremy Ruckert open. You can continue to use Breece Hall in that, really, really, really basic just dump-off routes, which he excelled in last year. I really hope that we've seen the videos of what Breece Hall has been working on. I really hope that he's gotten himself with like a really good wide receivers coach to teach him how to run routes. That's what he's missing, man. If he can get legitimate low-end wide receiver hands, because he doesn't have that right now, and have a legitimate route running ability, like you can put him to run routes, God, our offense would be so good. God, man. Whew. Oh. I could see a team coming up for Quinion Mitchell. I love Quinion Mitchell. And maybe, you're right. Maybe a team comes up for a corner. I totally forgot about this cornerback class. But here's the problem, Wild Wave. Here's the problem. The gap between Quinion Mitchell, in my opinion, I love me Quinion Mitchell, and total credit to Dom C, who has been really high on Quinion Mitchell early on in the process. I have Quinion Mitchell as my CB2 in this class. The reality is that you have to like Quinion Mitchell or Cooper DeJean or Kool-Aid McKinstry or Terrion Arnold or Nate Higgins so much more than the other guys that's the guy that you need. And I don't know if that's going to be the case. That's the problem, Sean. Because, like, let's say a team does love Quinion Mitchell. Like, Terrion Arnold is still a dog, and Nate Wiggins is still a dog, and Kool-Aid McKinstry is still a dog. So you can stick at whatever pick you're staying at and get yourself a really good cornerback in this class. This is the problem. This class is so loaded at a ton of positions, you have a hard time seeing what's the position that falls off instantly. You got 3 players. If those 3 players are gone, it falls off. You're not going to find another guy. There isn't really, this is one of the better draft classes. Like, you can maybe argue interior defensive lineman, really, but yeah. Yeah. Last season, Hall was coming off a major injury. He could be a two-way contributor from day one this season. No, I totally agree with you, Harlan, but like he's never shown the ability to really be a route runner, right? He didn't do it in college, and he hasn't done that at the NFL level. And I'm not saying that he can't do it. I'm just saying that I really hope that's something that he's worked on, because the ability to use him as a legitimate pass catcher, run a route, and not just these wheel routes or dump-off routes. I'm talking about run a Texas route, motion him out wide and have him run a slant or run a hitch or run a get back or run a post or an in or an out or whatever. That to me is a really, really valuable asset that he just doesn't have in his itinerary right now, if that makes sense. But I think Tigo is right. Maybe I'm not giving Warren enough credit. Still, if Fashanu is there or another top 3 left tackle, I think I've got to take him. Billy, I think, 1, I do think that you're not giving Carter Warren enough credit. But 2, I'm going to pose this question. And before you respond quickly, I want you to actually sit with it and digest it. And the question is this: do you trust Joe Douglas in the draft? Do you trust that Joe Douglas's drafting ability in the players that he selects to be impact players for the Jets? Do you trust his judgment? Because if the answer is no, then I would fully understand this idea of just get the best offensive tackle available, right? Because if that's the case, then you're going to say you can't really mess up with an Olu Fashanu or a Talise Fuaga. They're going to be good players at the NFL level. But if the answer is I trust Joe Douglas, then you have to believe in the picks that he's made. And that goes and extends to Carter Warren and Max Mitchell. Because you have to believe that the things that he saw are there. And you have to remember that both of those guys were suffering from pretty devastating injuries in the offseason. Carter Warren had a massive knee injury and wasn't able to work out until after week 1. And then he started working out and getting up to health. And the moment he got healthy, he got thrown to the Wolves and asked to play right tackle in the NFL when he should have had a redshirt year. And Max Mitchell thought he was going to die because he had blood clots. So again, what do these two players look like with an entire offseason to get strong, to get healthy, and to get ready to play at the NFL level? While I am all in on Carter Warren, and I think he is definitely a starting level NFL tackle, maybe not week 1, but by week 8, I think he's a starting level NFL tackle. And Max Mitchell, he regressed. There's no doubts about it. He regressed. But with a fully healthy offseason, can he show us what we saw in week 1 before the injury, before the blood clots? Can he show us that? I don't know. But to me, the way that I look at it is I trust Joe Douglas's picks. And so I had a second-round grade on Carter Warren. He got hurt and he fell to the 4th. I'm going to believe in the second-round guy. That we got in the 4th. That's just that. That's how I look at it. So think about that. Think about that question. Boom. Could Brock Bowers be a wide receiver 3 in certain wide receiver packages? Yes, but I wouldn't use him that way. I think he's better as an H-back, used as a fullback and a tight end, blocking in the line and sneaking free. That's the way that you want to use him, in my opinion, personally. Why is this draft class so stacked with talent compared to the past couple of years? Because of the COVID seasons, Brian Bourne. This is a great question. One, because of NIL deals. Kids are going back to school because they can make money in school where they might not get drafted. They might not make an NFL team. So kids are staying for years 4, 5, and 6 now for the NFL draft. But also because of the COVID year, a lot of players got extra years of eligibility, and you're starting to see all of that compile into one draft class, and that's kind of what you're seeing. There are a lot of really older prospects that are 24 and 25 in this class. There are a ton of young talent in this class as well, all coming out at the same time, and that is why this class is so stacked. And sometimes you just see that, right? Like next year's class, I've started my summer scouting, isn't all that great as of right now. Maybe there are players that can take jumps and they can do those things, but as of right now, it's not all that great, specifically at the quarterback position. But yeah, there you go. I think he's one of our starting tackles next year. He's right or left tackle next year. Max regressed, but due to health. Full off season this time around. I agree. Jeremy says it perfectly. Look, I'm not sitting here and saying that I want Max Mitchell to start. I'm not even saying and sitting that I want Max Mitchell to be the primary backup. He didn't earn that from what we saw last year. He hasn't. He's offensive tackle 4, and that's the role he should have. But Carter Warren with a full offseason, who showed us some flashes last year. He showed us some struggles too, but who didn't get an offseason and didn't get an opportunity to really play behind an offensive line that worked. Because our offensive line didn't work, and a big reason for that was because of Zach Wilson. Tika, do you think Aaron does better with weaker wide receiver or weaker O-line? If a lineman goes down versus a wide receiver goes down, where would you say we are better, and should that impact the draft strategy? I think Aaron Rodgers does better with limited offensive line. Okay, GVH, I'm going to answer your question with a question. If Aaron Rodgers stayed healthy all of last year, right? Let's say he doesn't have the Achilles, but everything else for the rest of the season stays the same. The New York Jets were able to win 7 games with Zach Wilson. In your mind, does Aaron Rodgers add any more wins to the New York Jets if he stayed healthy all of last season? The same team, the same situation, the same everything. The only thing that changes is Aaron Rodgers doesn't get hurt and miss the season. Does he add any more wins? In my opinion, I think he does. We won 7 games last year without Aaron Rodgers. With Aaron Rodgers, there's 3 games that I can think of off the top of my head that the New York Jets win. The first Patriots game that we lost, the Kansas City Chiefs game that we lost, and then the Chargers game that we lost. We probably also win the Raiders game and the Falcons game. Like, again, is Aaron Rodgers does he win you more games? Even with the offensive line injuries, if he stayed healthy? Yes. So for me, we are I'm not even going to say his name. We are 1 wide receiver injury away from having Allen Lazard be wide receiver 1, especially if Mike Williams isn't ready week 1. And that wide receiver room is not good. And not good. And not even close to being good. Like, at all. If Tyron Smith goes down, I feel more comfortable with Carter Warren coming in and playing left tackle than I do with Allen Lazard having to be wide receiver 1. So I say yes. I think that if a wide receiver goes down versus a lineman, the New York Jets season is much harder with a wide receiver going down, especially if we don't fill up the cupboards in that room than if we lose an offensive lineman. So, boom. I just feel offensive line is what has really harmed this regime so far, and Saleh and JT are determined to fix it or they're gone. No, it's not offensive line. It's quarterback play. Zach was horrible because, like I said, if Aaron Rodgers plays, even with that battered offensive line, we probably win like 3 or 4 more games. So I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. Carter Warren was also screwed by a dumb OC who didn't give any help to a rookie who had no offseason. What a waste of Ruckert's skill set. That is also true, Jeremy. Absolutely. And we know that Keith Carter was asking for help on the offensive line and not getting it because Nathaniel Hackett wasn't doing it. But again, Nathaniel Hackett was trying to make as many people open as possible so that Zach would just get rid of the ball. Just get rid of it. Just throw it quickly. And he wasn't doing it. Go over last season with healthy Rodgers. What would he do better with a starting tackle or another wide receiver? Another wide receiver? Again, the offensive line looked so much worse than it actually did because Zach Wilson couldn't find the open wide receiver. Go back and watch those games and don't watch the quarterback and the offensive line. Watch the wide receivers and just watch Garrett Wilson. And the moment Garrett Wilson is open is pause the TV. And tell me if Zach is being sacked. He's not. Garrett Wilson is open, and if he just looks at him, he can hit him with the ball. And that was with the offensive line being decimated last year. And we saw that consistently. Consistently. Guys were running wide open. Conklin, Ruckert, Garrett Wilson, and a little bit Xavier Gibson, they were running wide open all year long. And Zach couldn't find any of them. None of them. So, boom. Thank you, GVH. I love you. Tigo, the coaching staff is our Achilles heel, even with 8 Pro Bowl players. Relax. Offensive side of the ball. They're the problem. But we got Aaron Rodgers. He's the OC. Who cares? But Tigo, is the problem with just QB all along see Zach? Then why did JD sign 3 linemen? Because we got rid of 3 linemen. You got rid of 3 linemen. We lost Dwayne Brown, Mekhi Becton, and Laken Tomlinson. Those were the 3 guys that were slated to start. And Mekhi Becton played almost every game for the season. And then Dwayne Brown went down early, and we had a bunch of rotation of guys at left tackle and right tackle and all of this different stuff. But we lost 3 of our starting offensive linemen. That's why we signed 3 offensive linemen, because we needed starters. That's the reality. Not that hard. I want to see more Ruckert, please. Totally agree. cannot agree with this more. I really think Zach was the major part in playing a role in why the O-line had its woes. Stacked box plus holding onto the ball for too long. Absolutely. Dude, you could put 8 players in the box and put everybody in man coverage behind it and just say, Zach, find the open guy. He'll be open, but you won't find him. So you have to respect Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to put 8 guys in the box because he's going to find the guy who's open. Aaron Rodgers is smarter than your coverage. He's just smarter than your coverage. So, like, if you want to put 8 guys in the box, cool. He's going to find the open man every single time. Every single time. You have to respect the quarterback, but the quarterback has to earn respect, and Zach Wilson did not earn that. Do you believe JD would take Bowers over Odunze? I don't, Jeremy. I don't. I think Odunze would be the pick. Just because Odunze would immediately become wide receiver 2, where Brock Bowers arguably would be tight end 3. Now, you would assume that your first round 10th overall pick would be tight end 1 or tight end 2 behind Conklin kind of a thing, but theoretically, when you look at it, Odunze immediately becomes wide receiver 2, and then Bowers is tight end 3. And I'm not anti-Bowers. I'm just saying I don't think you would pass up the wide receiver to take the tight end. Except Rodgers got sacked and tore his Achilles. The guy was open. Rodgers wanted to extend the play. Yeah, that's on Rodgers. But again, the injury that was caused by Rodgers was on him. The play design worked. He wanted to extend the play because he saw something. He's not going to do that now with an Achilles tear at 40. The man thought he had the fountain of youth, and he learned a hard lesson. He's not going to do that again. That's the thing. Rodgers doesn't make the same mistake twice. He's not going to. He knows that he doesn't have the legs to do that anymore. So he's going to take the guy. He's going to take the guy that's open. In my opinion, at least I hope. I might be giving Rodgers too much credit, but he hasn't really given me a reason not to give him that much credit, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense because that sounded really convoluted in my head. No, because Conklin is on the last year of his Dear Bennett. I will say Roger reads defenses faster than any QB in the NFL, and his release time is top 3, so that is going to help your O-line, no doubt. Exactly. Definitely Odunze over Bowers. Advanced stats showed Zach had 2.5 seconds in the pocket. That is middle of the pack. You're right. It was poor QB play. Thank you, Jeremy. I did not know that advanced stat, but now I'm adding that to my repertoire of why we should take a wide receiver in round 1. Tyron Smith hasn't played a full season in 2015. Last 4 years, he's played 30 out of 67 games. Yes, but he has never missed a playoff game in his entire career, and last year he had to take a break. So if you're telling me that you're going to get 13-plus games from Tyron Smith, and I say plus because we don't know how long the playoff run is going to be, and I have to get 5 games from Carter Warren, sign me up. 4 to 5 games of Carter Warren, I'm cool with that. If you're telling me I get 10 weeks of Tyron Smith and then 4 to 5 weeks of Carter Warren and then Tyron Smith comes back for the Super Bowl run, sign me up. Sign me up. Because here's the thing. A starting offensive tackle, if he plays 3 games, is about 18 to 25%. 3 to 4 games is 18 to 25% of the snaps. Not even. I think it's sub 20% of the snaps that he would play of all available offensive line stats. Do you know who played sub 20% of the plays for the New York Jets last year? Our first-round pick, Will McDonald. And how happy are Jets fans that we took a first-round pick for a guy who only played 18% of the snaps? Taking an offensive tackle in round 1 is signing up for a guy to, at maximum, play sub 25% of the snaps because Tyron Smith will be back for the playoffs. So if you get 12 games out of Tyron Smith and he has to come in for 4 to 5 games, you're signing up for 18% of the snaps from your round 1 rookie. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. But I also don't ever want to see you complain about the Will McDonald pick. So, boom, there's the difference. Brock Bowers is tight end 3. Lol, Tigo, you're too much. Odunze is more wide receiver 4 than Bowers is tight end 3. Bowers is tight end 1 from day 1, not even close. With this staff, New York Jets superfan, that made Garrett Wilson earn wide receiver 1 reps, that had Michael Carter starting in front of Breece Hall when they drafted Breece. Bro, he should be tight end 1. He won't be because this staff isn't going to give him the job over Conklin and Ruckert. They'll give Odunze the job over Lazard. They've been trying to get rid of Lazard, and they haven't been able to. Odunze will be wide receiver 2 week 1. And Brock will be tight end 3. And I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying that that's what this coaching staff would do. That's the Robert Saleh way. We've seen it multiple times. ABT's a great player, but he's had trouble with injuries since entering the league. He's played 28 out of 50 games. Yeah, and they're putting him at right guard, and I'm worried about that position for his Achilles. That's why I think the new big need on the offensive line is not tackle, but interior offensive line. Bowers needs a creative OC to take full advantage of what he'd bring as a rookie. I agree. Morgan Moses, he's a workhorse, but he's getting older. He played 14 games last season and is recovering from a torn pec surgery. He played every game last season. I'm almost positive he played every game last season. Oh, no, he did not. 1, 2, 3, 4. He missed week 5. He missed 1 game last year. If that's true. Because they have a bye week. I don't know when their bye week is. Oh, he missed 2 games last week. 11, 12. Nope. Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. He missed games. I just can't count. You're right. Tigo, the Dallas game, Micah Parsons blasting into the backfield. We can't have that. No, you can't. But you know why he was able to do that? Yeah, but... Dude, it's Micah Parsons. What are you going to do to stop Micah Parsons? You really think that Olu Fashanu is going to stop Micah Parsons? He's not. He's Micah frickin' Parsons. You know what stops Micah Parsons, dude? Double teaming him. And that doesn't even stop him. That slows him down a little bit. You're not going to... Dude, Micah Parsons wrecks your game plan. Aaron Donald, until he retired, may his career rest in peace, he kind of just wrecks your game plan. Quinnen Williams, he kind of just wrecks your game plan. It doesn't matter what you're going to do against guys like... Again, you should double them. You should double them and give them tight end help. And our offensive coordinator didn't do that. But you know who's going to do that? Aaron Rodgers at the line, because he's going to have that ability. And he's going to be like, hey, you see that Micah guy? I want 2 guys on him every single time. And Conklin, how about you just get a shank, come to the line of scrimmage, and give him a little stab in his side. Dude, you don't stop Micah Parsons. It's like playing TJ Watt. You just don't stop TJ Watt. It's just not a thing that you do. How are you supposed to stop Myles Garrett? You don't. That's the whole point. Like, you just can't do it. Yes, but you know why he looked ass against the 49ers, NY Jets superfan, to come down to this? It's because Trent Williams exists. When you have one of the best edge rushers versus the best left tackle in football, that's a different game plan, my guy. It's a different matchup. We don't have Trent Williams. I think the difference is you have faith in Warren. I don't. My biggest concern is the line falling apart and it would being a disaster. I'd love a wide receiver, but I feel it's risky. I don't. I get it. I understand your concern about Carter Warren, but I think good quarterback play will help the offensive line more than people are giving credit for it. And I'm not saying Carter Warren is going to be one of the best tackles in football. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he's serviceable. And a serviceable tackle with an elite quarterback is much better than people are assuming. You think right now Odunze is better than Mike Williams? No. What I'm saying, you must have missed this New York Jets Super. I think Mike Williams doesn't play week 1. I don't think he's going to be ready for week 1. That's the point. You might have missed that. I think he goes into wide receiver 2 because I don't think Mike Williams is going to be ready for week 1. I think that the earliest we'll see Mike Williams is like week 3 or week 4. So if that's the case, you can't count Mike Williams as wide receiver 2. Sorry, I said that way earlier, and I forget that people come in and leave. I should have made that more clear. Morgan will be 100% by June camp. He should be fine. I think Dave. Oh, I love this. Baka Ori will be a Jet, though. I agree. I would sign him. Jeremy. I totally agree. Thanks, Jeremy. Do that. This line has ruined 2 of our first-round pick QBs now and almost has our head coach and GM getting ready to be shown the door. You know that's on their minds. I don't think that's true, Billy. I think a quarterback has this missing on the quarterback has this team thinking that their entire offensive that their job's on the line. Keith Carter asked for help with Brown against Parson and Hackett ignored it. Dude, yeah, that's the point. Hackett ignored it. But again, you know who's not going to ignore Micah Parsons? Aaron frickin' Rodgers. Dude, Aaron's not dumb enough to ignore. He's more willing to ignore Nathaniel Hackett than he is to ignore Micah Parsons. Oh, 100%. Dude, Billy, nobody can be sure what the New York Jets are going to do at 10. Dude, I don't know if the Jets know what they're going to do at 10. Like, that's just the truth. I don't know if anybody has any idea what the New York Jets are going to do at 10, period. This is a great question. The only players in this draft that I would trade up for are Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors. If Joe Alt made it to 8, you could convince me to go get Joe Alt because I think he's a stud. But again, trading future assets to go get a backup offensive tackle, I take that back. The only players that I would trade up for are Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. If some way, shape, or form Marvin Harrison is there at 6, you call the Giants immediately and you try to convince them. Immediately. I don't know if the Giants move off of Marvin Harrison, like just being honest. But if the draft goes quarterback. Am I frozen? I'm not frozen. Okay, cool. Woo! Jeremy had me freaking out there for a second. If the draft goes quarterback, and then it goes offensive tackle at 5. So like the Chargers go Joe Alt. Then now we have a whole different story. Now we have a whole different thing, right? Because now that's one more pick where a wide receiver didn't go. So now the Giants at 6 become interesting because they might be willing to trade out. The Tennessee Titans become interesting because they might be willing to trade out. And Atlanta becomes interesting because they might be willing to trade out. So if it goes QB, offensive tackle, you got to call the Giants and you have to at least ask. You have to at least ask and see if you can convince them to move off of Marvin Harrison because they have so many needs. So many needs that you can convince them to move off of it. It probably won't happen. The Giants, it would be a mismanagement of assets if they don't take Marvin Harrison. They should stick and pick Marvin Harrison. But now Tennessee becomes interesting because Tennessee could take Olu Fashanu, Talise Fuaga, whatever they want to do at 7. And now Atlanta is sitting there. Like, again, there is a good to fair chance that if the Chargers don't take a wide receiver, if they go offensive tackle, that the only wide receiver taken would be by the Giants, and that would be Marvin Harrison. And you can convince me that Tennessee, Atlanta, and Chicago, in their respective orders, that they would go offensive tackle, edge rusher, and the Jets are sitting there. Oh my God, Malik Neighbors fell to us at 10. That's not outside of the realm of possibility. But if the Chargers take Marvin Harrison, and then the Giants take Neighbors, now you have to call the Titans, and you have to at least call Atlanta to see what it would cost for Odunze, and I don't feel necessarily all that comfortable trading up for Odunze. I think you could just stick and pick because Tennessee, Atlanta, and Chicago are not that likely to take a wide receiver. But who knows? Who knows? Neighbors is not generational, didn't say that. I mean, I have a feeling what they'll do, but if they took Brock Bowers, I wouldn't be shocked, or wide receivers. I would be shocked if it was a defensive selection. Totally agree. Jets need a running back, tight end, wide receiver 2, O-lineman, safety, DT. I think it's better to get Bowers round 1 and then get a wide receiver, guard, safety in rounds 3 and 4. I see us getting a vet tackle before the season to give us depth. Man, it's not a bad plan. Giants are not moving off of Harrison. Our best bet is to trade up with LA. That'd just be too expensive, man. If somehow Alt fell to 10, would you take him? If so, would you bench Alt for Moses? I would not bench Moses to play Alt because I would want Alt to be my left tackle of the future. Again, dude, it would be a really messed up thing if again, I would take Alt. Like, it just depends on what else is on the board. I would definitely take Alt at 10 if he somehow made it there. He's just not going to start. Like, Morgan Moses would have to have a bad game, and Tyron Smith would have to have a really bad. They'd have to get hurt. I'm not benching him, but yeah, it's a whole thing. I have a hard time believing the Chargers are not going to take a wide receiver after losing Williams and Allen. Justin needs a wide receiver 1. Jeremy, I would agree with you if their head coach wasn't the other Harbaugh, and then what's his name? Who's their offensive coordinator? The guy from the Ravens. Chargers OC. Greg Roman. That's the biggest thing, Jeremy. How many years did the Ravens go without taking a wide receiver? Because they wanted to build a run game because of Harbaugh and Roman. You know what I mean? Like, you're right. If you're staring down the barrel of Marvin Harrison Jr., you should take him easily. But Greg Roman and the other Harbaugh are not their run-the-ball first guys. Like, they had J.J. McCarthy, who's supposed to be a top 5 NFL pick. They had him throw the ball 8 times versus Penn State because they just run the ball. They want a run game. So, but yeah. But, with all these teams taking offensive players in the top 10, they might take the very best safety. Damn, now there's not a safety. I'll quench that, Billy. There's not a safety that I would take anything higher than 25. Jets aren't taking a safety at 10. I can guarantee that. I'll bet my house on that. Yep, see? Wild Wave said it. Greg Roman and Harbaugh want to run the ball. They want to tackle, more specifically a right tackle. That pick is for sale. It depends on how they feel about Alt. Boom. Said it perfectly. No. Matt, if that came out, I wasn't. Marvin Harrison is generational. Malik Neighbors is right underneath him in the tier outside of generational, but really damn good. I don't think Neighbors is generational. If I said that was a Freudian slip. Tigo, last year you and Dom C did a show best 5 players at every position. I thought it was really good. Are you going to do that show again for 2024? We're trying, man. Me and Dom are trying to get together to do those things, and it's just hard with our schedules. But yeah, getting closer to the draft, I'm going to do a top 5 players at every position, at positions of need for the New York Jets. That's what I'm going to try to do. If wide receiver fall and someone moves up to take Bowers, do we then move down into the second round? Yes, I would move down. So, there are 2 good safeties, first round, but not at 10. I agree, like pick 20s. There's really only one. There's only one safety that I really look at and I go, that's a guy that I would take in round 1. And that's like Tyler Nubbin, really, out of Minnesota. Like, he's good. But again, I'm not taking him before like pick 25. There used to be a lot of talk about Cam Kinchins during the midseason, and then he kind of fell off a little bit. I know a lot of people are really high on Javon Bullard out of Georgia. I just don't have him with a first-round grade, but I do like him a lot. But yeah, don't have that. Either Odunze or Neighbors tackle at the third, safety and running back, but I also think Boyd is a possibility. I don't think they are. After Mike Williams, I don't know if the Jets are going to spend the money on Tyler Boyd. I would love it. I would love it. But I don't think we're going to go get Boyd. Oh, you're counting Cooper DeJean as a safety. I don't. He's my cornerback 1. I love Cooper DeJean. I think Cooper can play outside. I think he can play corner at the next level. I really do. I have him as corner. I have him as CB1. I have him as a corner. That makes sense, though. If that's the case, yeah, then there's 2 safeties. If you consider Cooper DeJean as a safety, then yes, you have 2 safeties, but I do have a top 15 grade on Cooper DeJean, where I don't with Nubbins. Nubbins sounds like something your parents give you when you're a kid. Yep. Yeah, Billy's just scared because the Jets are going to Jets all over something. I don't think that they're going. JD has showed us that he doesn't value safety. He's shown us that. We've seen that. All right. Alrighty. I got 8 minutes before I'm going to hop off. I want to do a quick mock draft. And by quick, I'm just gonna make the picks. Just going to make the picks and have you guys yell at me. We cool with that? Anyone down for that? Or you just want to keep hanging and chilling? I'm cool with either one. You can extend DJ Reed to save money. You can restructure JFM to save money. You can trade, hopefully, Zach Wilson to save money. There are moves that you can make. Christian Mahogany in the 3rd round. I would love that. Let's do it. Let's cool. Cool. I'm gonna do it then. Let's do it. Oh no! Oh no! Let's do it. Let's do it. Boom. Let's see. Boom. There we go. Make sure you guys can see this. That sounds right. Beautiful. Oh, this is new. All right. Ready? I'm just going to make the picks. You guys are just going to yell at me. Yeah, no. You guys are just going to yell at me. And if you want me to talk about a player or whatever, I can talk about a player. I have no problem talking about a player. But yeah. Ready? Boom. Ooh, Brock Bowers is there at 10. But there are 8 teams that want to come up. All the wide receivers are gone. That makes me sad. Let's see what's available. Pick 26. Ooh, pick 26. Pick 26. Pick 26. Pick 26. Pick 26. Pick 26. Would I fall that far back? Oh, would I really fall that far back? I don't know, man. Talise Fuaga's gone. Alt's gone. Oh, no. No, I'm thinking. I have to think. I have to think. I'm going to do it. I'm going to trade back. I'm going to trade back to 26. I'm going to get a 1st round next year and a 2nd round this year. They'll take this trade. Nah, they took the trade. 3rd time's the charm. I did it. Oh, let's see what happens. We don't ever really do this. Oh, it did not work in our favor. All of the tackles went. Oh. All of the tackles went. That was not a good trade. I'll take A.D. Mitchell. Yeah, I'll take A.D. Mitchell. That was not a good trade. I should have listened. I shouldn't have gone that far back. That was not a good trade. I took a wide receiver in the 1st. Ooh. Kieran Amegdiji. That's a good one. Restart? If I get 3 restarts from people that aren't William, I'll restart. Ooh, Javon Baker, Blake Fisher. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with Kieran Amegdiji. That's not a bad pick. Restart. Everyone's saying restart. We'll restart. Last restart. Whatever happens in this draft, it happens. Whatever happens, happens. All right. Brock Bowers goes the pick right before us. I actually really like this pick for the Chargers, if we're being honest. Wide receivers are gone. Talise Fuaga's there. Oh, but much better. Much better. 20. I would go... I would give up a third next year. I would do this. I would do this. Boom! That worked. JJ made it to 10. Jesus. 2 tackles back to back. I gotta make the pick. I'm taking my guy. I don't have him rated this low. I'm taking Brian Thomas Jr. That's my move. If I had no trade partner, I would have just taken Olu. I just would have taken Olu there. But I got to trade back. And boom, Brian Thomas Jr., you are a New York Jet. Beautiful. Pick 44. I'm not going to even sit here and lie to you. Zach Frazier here is a ton of really, really good value, and I love Zach Frazier. Dude, I might just take Zach Frazier. Christian Haynes, another really good value. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Zach Frazier. Now, I'm going to explain why I'm going to take Zach Frazier. And the reason I'm going to take Zach Frazier is because I am worried about AVT. So if AVT gets hurt, then you can move Tittman to right guard, Zach Frazier to center, boom. So I'm taking Zach Frazier here. A lot of really good players there and a lot of really good wide receivers there that I was interested in, but I wasn't going to take another wide receiver at that point. So I'm going to take Zach Frazier. Javon Baker, 1 pick before us, my guy. Loved that. Pick 72. So really interested in Christian Haynes, but we did just take an interior offensive lineman, so I wouldn't do that. I'd be more interested in a tackle here. T'Vondre Sweat is a guy that I'm really, really interested in. Keep this guy off of my football team. Don't want anything to do with this dude. Blake Fisher. I would not be mad at Blake Fisher here. Max Melton would be another really interesting pick here. You have to start planning post DJ Reed and or Michael Carter, and you have to make a decision on what you're going to do about them because you can't keep both. And I have a sneaky feeling that the New York Jets are going to decide DJ Reed over Michael Carter. I think that's a mistake, but Max Melton would be a great guy to come in to be the heir apparent over Michael Carter. So there is that option there. Ooh, Jamari Thrash, Malachi Corley, great guys. Cam Kinchens here would be very, very interesting. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Michael Pratt, ooh, if the New York Jets were in on, Patrick Paul. Patrick Paul, that's the pick. Patrick Paul, all conversations are over. Offensive tackle, it's Patrick Paul. Sorry, I know I talked about the other guys. Patrick Paul. Patrick Paul is very, very intelligent. I love Patrick Paul. I think he's a very, very good guy. Cade Stover is interesting to me. We do still need a tight end to help the team. We do still need safety, and Cole Bishop is a great one. Cole Bishop might be the pick here. If I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Cole Bishop is really high up on my board. Leonard Taylor III. I love Leonard Taylor III out of Miami. I had a first-round grade on him at the beginning of the season, and he has just did not live up to the hype. But when you talk about a guy who has all of the tools under the sun, Leonard Taylor is that guy, and I do think that we need some help on the interior defensive line because I do not like Kinlaw at all. At all. Let me look at, our next pick is at pick 134. Let me look at the safeties. Tyke Smith is still on the board. Cole Bishop, Malik Mustafa. I like Malik Mustafa. There are some guys here that okay. I'm going to take, if I'm the GM, I'm going to take Leonard Taylor III here because there are still safeties on the board that I like. But there isn't very many more interior defensive linemen that I like. And I think the value is just too good. And then, Josh Newton out of TCU. We do need a corner. Kalen King. Oh, this would be great value. Kalen King here. Zach Zinter, man. I love Zach Zinter. If we didn't take an interior defensive lineman, this would be the pick. I'm going to take Bo Brady here out of Maryland. I think you need to get a safety. I like him a lot. Yeah, I'm going to take Bo Brady here and see what happens in the cornerback. I want to take a cornerback. We need to find somebody at corner to help play. Ooh, but Tyrone Tracy is here, man. Do you pass up on the running back? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Is there any corners here that I like? No, not really. I'm going to take the running back. This is great value. We need a running back 3-2 kind of guy. This is great value in the 6th round. And then let's see what happens. Let's see what happens at the end here. I love me some Kitan Oladipo. Love me some Kitan Oladipo. It's great. Delmar Glaze, another guy. If we had the space, I would get Delmar Glaze. Love him. Let's just go Jarius Monroe, the cornerback out of Tulane. I don't have a lot of hopes on him. And then let's just take... Nope, don't love any of this. Let's take a linebacker, Jordan Maggie out of Temple. What does he look like? 6'3", 225? Take a linebacker. We got to start filling that pipeline. We don't know if we're going to be able to keep CJ around. And yeah, let's take a linebacker. Let's take a linebacker. I like this. I like this draft. Let's draft. Let's see. Guys, what do we think the grade is from PFF, and what do you guys think my grade is? So let's zoom out, and boom. You guys can't see it. PFF gave me a B+. Well, let me just do this. Let me just download the image. Come back here. I'm just going to give you guys the image. Give me a sec. And boom. Look at that. With the quickness. There is the whole mock draft. As you can see in the top here, we traded our first round pick to trade back with the Vegas Raiders, and we gave them our 10 and 3rd so that we got a 1st and a 2nd this year. Drafted Brian Thomas Jr. That is criminal for them to give it a C+. That's horrible. Got a ton of value in Zach Frazier in the 2nd round. That's crazy. Patrick Paul in the 3rd. Leonard Taylor in the 4th. Bo Brady in the 4th. Tyrone Tracy in the 6th. Jarius Monroe and Jordan Maggie in the 7th. What do we think? Dude, if we walked away with this draft, this is a home run for me. Honestly, this is a home run. You can... the picks that I would feel comfortable saying go somewhere else is anything in the 6th and the 7th, right? I don't love Tyrone Tracy. I don't love Jarius Monroe. I don't love Jordan Maggie. I was kind of just taking players because when you get to that late in the draft, it's kind of just a crapshoot anyway. But if you're telling me on days 1 and 2 of the draft, we walked away with Brian Thomas, Zach Frazier, Patrick Paul, Leonard Taylor, and Bo Brady, I'm telling you right now, I feel comfortable in saying this. Brian Thomas, wide receiver 2 of this team of the future. Zach Frazier, starting center of the future for this team, because once John Simpson is gone, Elijah Vera Tucker goes to left tackle, and you could move Joe Timmon to right guard. Boom, he's your starting center of the future if you want it. Hell, you could probably even play him at right guard if you wanted him, and then put AVT at left guard. Patrick Paul and Carter Warren are your future left and right tackles of the future for this team. Leonard Taylor, again, this is a gamble because he has some motor issues. He has some drive issues. Like, he gives up on some plays. Now, we've seen players who give up on plays in college and then don't do that at the NFL level. So you get him in a room that's going to motivate him every single play. Leonard Taylor has legitimate DT2 upside on the Jets because Quentin Williams is a stud. No one's going to take his job. But Leonard Taylor, for like let's say like 20 NFL teams, has legitimate interior defensive line 1 upside on him. And Bo Brady's just kind of a body to throw into the safety room. So, dude, I think this is a home run of a draft. If I'm being, I would love, dude, I would jump for glee. I would jump for joy, jump for glee. So, Barney, I'm not anti-Brock, man. I'm not anti-Brock. I'm gonna take this off of the. I'm not anti-Brock, man. I just don't necessarily love him at 10. Not motivational issues. He doesn't try on every play. And I got him in the 4th. Relax. You jump for joy, but you swim for glee, I guess. I like me some Brock Bowers. I just don't necessarily love that pick at 10. Alrighty. Guys, last but not least, right? Give it a couple of minutes. Last minute to get your questions in. Last minute to get super chats in. 5 more minutes and then I'm hopping off. I'm going to go to sleep. It's midnight. And my baby has a doctor's appointment at 8:30 in the morning. Last minute questions, comments, concerns. Very interesting. So his whole game changed, Zach. We saw a lot of inconsistency in Brian Thomas in his first 2 years in the NFL. And that's something in the NFL, in the NCAA. And that is definitely something that concerned. There was a big question going into this year about, was Brian Thomas finally going to step up and be the wide receiver 2 that LSU needed to be competitive? Because in his first 2 years, I believe he had 700 combined yards, and he went and got 1,200 this year, almost 1,200 this year, with 13 regular season touchdowns, 17 if you include the bowl games in the postseason. But I believe it's 13 touchdowns in the regular season. And I think what happened, 15 touchdowns. So what happened is he improved his route running ability, really developed a release package, and just showed more strength in the air. And they started scheming him better, They started scheming him better. So, again, I think, yeah. So, trade down, pick Bowers at 13 or 14 and get a second round or 2. Barney, I would do that. Remember, Bowers wasn't available. He was taken at 9. Bowers was taken at 9 in our draft. Hopefully you go live more often. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. His stats are so down first 2 years. How is his route tree? Again, Zach, he had a year 3 explosion of development on tape, showing the ability to cut better, to run routes better. He put in a lot of work in between years 2 and years 3. And we know that because of how his coaches speak about him. A lot of the things that they said is that in year 3, he put a lot of work into being a better wide receiver. A lot of the thing is that he was always a great athlete, but he wasn't putting in the work to be a great wide receiver, and that changed. And that's why he went from a guy who was graded early on in the season. Not by me. I believed in Brian Thomas early. That's why he graded early on in summer scouting as like a possible round 3, round 4 wide receiver, all the way up to a first round guy who could be taken into the top 15 picks. And so that's that. What guitars do I have back there? So I have an Ibanez hollow body in the hard case in the back. Then I have a soft case in front of that, and I have a PRS 24, which I love my PRS. And then in the hard case in front of that is a Ibanez something. I don't like that guitar. My main guitar is the Ibanez hollow body, and then the PRS. I love my PRS. That's my main. It's my PRS. It's my beautiful boy. Tigo, who else had a third-year explosion? Ask the Chargers. Dude, it happens. Sometimes a third year. Ask us. Zach Wilson had a third-year explosion. It happens. Sometimes you take a player that has a third-year explosion and it doesn't work. But you know who also had a third-year explosion and it worked? DK Metcalf. A.D. Mitchell versus Brian Thomas Jr. Why is Brian better in your eyes? Because Brian is more ready right now. I love A.D. Mitchell, but A.D. Mitchell is very boomer bust, in my opinion, where I think Brian Thomas has a foundation in his game that is good enough for the NFL. Again, the things that separate Brian Thomas and A.D. Mitchell aren't much. But I think A.D. Mitchell needs to go to the right situation, and I don't know if the Jets are the right situation. I love Azani as our wide receivers coach, and so, again, I'm not anti-A.D. Mitchell. I like Brian Thomas more because of I think he's got game-breaking, over-the-top speed, right, if I'm being honest. I think he's got game-breaking, over-the-top speed. And then when you look at... Give me a sec. I got to pull up A.D. Mitchell's measurables because I do not remember. And so, like, he's got 2 inches faster than him. He's got, like... I'm not anti-A.D. Mitchell. Like, they're really close. I just have Brian Thomas ahead of him because I think that there are some things that Brian Thomas is doing that he does better. 6'4", 209 pounds, and versus A.D. Mitchell, 6'2", 205 pounds. They both run really fast routes. It's just, again, they're really close. They're really close. I would take either one. I've got a Fender Mexican Nashville Telly. Love it. And an Ibanez bass and a cheap Orangewood acoustic. Love it, man. You're right. DK did not have an explosion year 3. What? Why do I remember DK having... Who am I thinking of then? Who am I thinking of? Who in that draft had the explosion year 3? Who am I thinking of? Was it Debo? But Debo played 4 years. Did Debo have the explosion year 4? Who am I thinking of? Why am I going insane here? Someone had an explosion as a wide receiver in that draft, in the 2019 draft. Dude, I don't remember. I'm going insane. Yeah, that's my thing. I think Brian is more ready week 1 of year 1, where I think A.D. Mitchell is better to be year 2. I don't know. Is it Justin Jefferson? Who am I thinking of, man? There's somebody. I can't remember. No, Justin Jefferson was a stud all 3 years. Yeah, he didn't play year 1. He played year 2 really well. He did have an explosion in year 3, but it's like 400 more yards. It's 400 more yards. I don't remember. Alrighty, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm done. I'm going to go to sleep. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Don't forget to hit the like button so that we can make the New York Jets 0.001% better with every like that is hit. If you're watching this after the fact, get into the comment section and light up the comment section. It really helps us out. Guys, if you want some Talking Jets with Tego merch, in the link in the description, there is Talking Jets with Tego merch that if you want it, you can go get it. But that's that. Everyone, you have a wonderful night. I'm going to go to sleep. Go Jets, right? That's that.